Hi guys, Geocacher Owain here. Today I'll be going through some AR geocaches, so I'll be going through how to plan and design a basic trail experience on Metaverse. So Metaverse is one of the apps that was actually in the guidelines laid out by Geocaching HQ, so it's quite easy to make a very basic experience, and there's a few things which make the user experience a bit more friendly, so I'm going to go through things you can do. So I'm just going to jump on the computer and show you a few things. So here I am on the geocaching website. So here they outline what augmented reality and geocaching is. So it just says about that you've got 3 months to submit a mystery cache, and after that they're going to have to look into if they're going to carry on doing it or not. So augmented reality caches have to be a mystery cache, have to be available on Android and iOS, free to download, etc. So at the moment the ones they're really going to do is HP Reveal and Metaverse. I haven't seen anyone use Tailblazer yet, and only a few people who use HP Reveal. I think Metaverse is the one that most people are using at the moment. So the thing to be wary of is this bit down here, where it says that the cache must have a final location, container and logbook. There can't be any virtual caches. The final location has to be within 2 miles of the posted coordinates, and has to be GPS has to be used. And down here, AR waypoints must be outdoors. So a few ways of getting around that. So if I'm using Metaverse to create my app, so the first thing I need to come up with was a plan of what to do my experience. So my plan was to create a hill based around Titanic memorials in Southampton. We're going to have 5 parts, and they're all going to be into a group. So I'll go into the first one. The idea of having it into a group is that you can share the group and all the experiences are inside that group, and each experience can be locked to a specific location. With Metaverse you can't have just one experience. You can't have an experience at the moment that goes from location to location. You have to have a separate experience for each location. Going into Metaverse, you first open up Metaverse, you'll just get a cog in the first scene. The more important point here is that this cog over here used to be where you'd change the location and make things locked to location, but now when you publish things, you go into advanced. Here you can make it public or unlisted, part of a group, so that's where you need to put your experiences in a group to make them locked to a GPS location. So that might be, even if you've got one experience but you want it locked to one location, put it in a group of 1. Here I've got a Titanic Trail group, so go back to advanced, and down here as well, cloner experience, you can learn from it. So here you can even say don't allow cloning or allow cloning. So if you've got a experience that actually posts the coordinates, you'd probably want to put don't allow cloning, otherwise people can just clone your experience and get the coordinates that way. So if you've got final coordinates in your experience, click don't allow cloning. For my ones, I'm going to allow cloning for the first 4 parts, and then the last one that does the coordinates to go around 0, I'll put don't allow cloning. Go back to my first experience on the Titanic Trail. The first experience is location locked to a memorial. Yep, here's a introduction of what's happening and what's happening on the trail. So you've got basically some text, a character, which is most cases a picture. So here you can actually change the character if you want to. So I'll put in a new character scene. There's a picture there. So like that, select character, and you've got this whole database up here of characters that you can use already. But if you just want to put your own image, you just put add character, type in the name and upload the image, and then you've got your own character. It's best when you're doing this to make sure that the background is transparent, otherwise it can look a bit weird in the app if it's not got a transparent background. This is just the introduction, start trail, and that will go into the first part. So here I've got a 3D object of a violin, but also down here you can see that I'm actually playing some music. The idea here is you're standing at the Titanic Musicians Memorial, it's actually playing the last song, or supposedly the last song that the musicians played on deck. It's actually got a timer here, so I've got it that there's 15 seconds of music here, and it won't allow the person to progress until you've listened to 15 seconds of music. So down here I've got a timer, and it delays for 15 seconds and then moves on to the next scene. The next scene is just a bit more info about the musicians, and again I've got the next 15 seconds of the song. Here I've given a choice of, you can either learn more about the musicians, so this experience is going to be open to non-geocachers as well. So yes, there will be geocachers doing it and they just want to find the final ground zero, but this might be tourists who want to know more about the memorial they're looking at. Here I've got two buttons. I've got a task, I'll just move on to the actual task that you need to do, or more info. And here I've got character scenes for each musician, and here I've actually put a back button. So a back button will just take you to a previous character scene, because at the moment Metaverse doesn't support back buttons. So if you want someone to observe something in a scene and they miss it, they can't go back, they're going to have to restart the entire experience again. So here I've got the three options of either go back to a previous scene, go to the next scene, or if you've learnt enough that you want from a moment, you can just go straight to the task. The task is you take a photo of a memorial. This block here goes into Google Vision, uses Google Vision to determine what's in the photo. In this block I've got it to read text in the photo, and it looks at the text. If the text is correct, it will move on to the block, and if not, I'll go back and ask you to scan again. Here I've got it that if the text is correct, it creates that this first section, this first experience is complete, and creates that value as 1. So this is handy for the next part, for the next experience, where I'm going to check if the part is true, you can move on to the experience, and if not, it will say, oh, you need to complete the first stage to carry on. Here it will set that, and it says congratulations, you completed the first stage, continue to the second stage. Then when you click that button, it will just end the experience. Here I haven't sent anyone any coordinates here because these two memorials are actually within eyesight, so they can actually see it. So that's the first experience for the Titanic Trail, and it's just at the Musicians Memorial. So then go through the next 2 or 3 experiences, just go through different things I've done, make it a bit easier. So main points in here what I've used is a time delay here. I've created my own back button so people can go back and look at things if they've missed it. If a particular bit of text is in this photo, and setting a variable to be 1 so I can check that in a later experience. I'll go back into the second experience. So all these are in one group that's location locked, and that way also if you share the QR code of a group, it's still location locked. If you share the QR code of individual experiences, it bypasses the actual GPS requirement of each experience. So that's why it's always good to, even if you've got one experience that you want to be location locked, put it in that one group, share the QR code for that group. And the way to share a QR code of a group is best to do it on your phone. At the moment there doesn't seem to be a way of sharing a QR code of a group online, but if you go into on your phone and you can get a QR code that way. Again here I've gone into, I'll just show you that I've got here published, it's part of a group, or it should be part of a group, Titanic Trail. At the moment I'm allowing repeat interactions, and it requires proximity to these coordinates here. So these are the coordinates just for the second memorial. It's okay. So here, this first block here, it says I'm going to check this variable here. Is it correct? If so, carry on to the first scene. So it checks this first before anything else. So it checks if that property is correct. If so, it goes to a first scene, and if not, it says you need to complete the second, or you need to complete the first part of a trail before continuing, and it will send you, and it will suspend the experience. So here, same again, character scenes with different pictures, back, more info, and next. At the moment I've got it though, you can basically skip more information on people and go to the task more quickly. So here I go through the more info button, will take you through the life of Thomas Andrews, who was the chief designer of the Titanic. So here I've got it that you learn about the memorial, and it asks a question. So here I'm looking for a text response. So here it will type in the answer to my question, hopefully. Then it looks at what they typed. Is it right? If so, move on to this block here. If not, they'll send you to this scene down here. It says, sorry, you got that wrong, and it'll take you back to the type response. So here, if I get it right, it sets a user property to be this variable. I've set the variables to have different names and different values, just as a thing for me. You can probably make them, as long as it's a different variable each time, you can have the same value. Here, a bit different. I'm not sure if this works at the moment. It will either be a send deep link notification or send link notification, but this is what I'm using to send the coordinates to people. So once they've got all this correct, the user will get a notification saying, here's the next location, click on it, and it opens up a Google map that has the coordinates for the next stage. So where I've got a Google map here as an image, it will actually get taken to a page that has that map. There's going to be a send notification or send deep link notification. There's a few bugs, I think, in this send deep one, so I'll look into that again. So this is just my first design stage. Once I've got everything done, I'm actually going to go out in the field and test it myself. So now at the moment there's a few bugs when people try and actually go out and search for a geocache, which is quite annoying. So I'm double checking everything's working here at home before actually going out and testing it myself at each GPS location. So I'm just going to quickly go into the last two bits of the trail. So fifth part is just basic experience at the moment. I haven't actually added anything to it, but the third one is where I've got round one of the requirements of you can't go indoors. So same again, checks user property, checks that you've completed the second experience before allowing you to move on to a third one. So this one is at a memorial garden of the youngest and final survivor of a Titanic. Close by to this memorial, inside one of the city buildings, is a memorial to the postal workers and the Book of Remembrance. But as these are inside, it means I can't put a waypoint inside. So here I talk about the postal workers and whatnot, but then I actually post pictures and 360 photos of inside the building. So yes, you might not be able to waypoint inside a building, you can take 360 photos and videos. So that's one way of getting around the outdoor requirement. Then I ask a question, hopefully it's answered. It sends that this experience is complete. If not, it sends you back to asking it. But before it does that, it says, sorry, that's incorrect. You can either try again, which will take you to the text response, but then I've actually got a zoomed in 360 photo, so people can actually have a closer look at what I'm asking. So it's 360 photos at the moment you can't zoom in. You can zoom in portals, which are only allowed on iOS devices, but you can't zoom in on a 360 photo. So here I've actually got a zoomed in 360 photo, which I've done myself, that people can actually look at, so they can actually read text in it and answer a question in that way. Move on to a fourth stage. So I'll quickly go into the fourth stage. So a fourth stage is of another memorial. So if you don't know, the Titanic, Southampton was the city which had the largest loss of life. So there's a lot of memorials in Southampton. This one, first stage, is checking if they've completed the third experience, going through it all. So here I've done a 360 photo because this memorial is inside a ruin of a church. So technically it's outside because it's a ruin, so there's no roof, but it still gets locked up at night. So I thought the best bet is to put a 360 photo of the memorial. Same again, this time I've actually got a 360 photo and a zoomed in 360 photo, and then it asks a question. Set that this experience is complete. If not, they take you back to the plaque, and you've completed the fourth stage of the trail. So this is just a very basic experience. This AR cache is very basic, it's just a trail, but it's just making sure that it's very easy to use. So the fact I've got back buttons, so if people miss things they can go back. The fact make sure I've got a set user property that makes sure that the trail is done in order, because the 5th stage is going to be hopefully close to ground zero, so I don't want people going to a 5th stage to a 1st stage because they're just going to have to backtrack. So I'm making sure that people follow the trail, and then that way the final stage is near ground zero. So as I said, the 5th one I've still got to work on, and that will be the final experience, and in that one I'll do a send notification, and that will send the coordinates to the person that they can actually copy and paste out of. So yes, this is a very basic group of experiences, but it's just something easy and something which I think is needed, because at the moment the Titanic Trail in Southampton, it's got all the memorials but not much information, so this AR experience can actually just help with tourists but also geocachers as well. So there's a few more things you can do. So yes, this is basically just a guided tour around, but there's a lot more to Metaverse. Let's do it. I'll just show you a few things. So you've got the character scene, ask a question, request an item. So you can actually give people items or request items. So if you give people tokens, they got a virtual token and they can redeem it later on. You can show people websites, a scene, so take a photo, upload it, or take a photo and let Google see what's inside it using AI. YouTube, all this stuff. Wall scenes. So a wall scene, basically a wall is where people can upload photos or text. So it's just like a web page that keeps track of what people are sending, so people can look back on it if they want to. So create polls, create walls that people can send stuff to, custom blocks. So this is where it gets into more general coding. So you've got arrays, lists, and whatnot. So you can actually do a bit more computational apps which are a bit more involved. Different things. Have custom API. Look at different things like that. Set environment properties, check environment properties. So it can get very involved. So you can make this into a game which has probabilities and random numbers and whatnot. So one of the ideas I had was to a park and have lots of virtual caches, and each time you open up a cache it gives you a random amount of trackables, and once you've got 20 trackables, say, it'll give you a final coordinates of a true cache. That will use different probabilities and different random number generators, so it is different for every person that plays it. Different probabilities. Strings, so this is where if you're checking variables, that is all lowercase or uppercase. Sorting lists, different stuff like that. Time controls. At the moment, most people have got basic experiences, mostly just trails. There are a few people who are doing custom blocks. It's using quite a lot of computational power and different things. It's not just scan this, scan that. It's using different maths involved and different probabilities. It'll be interesting to see how complicated AR caches can get if they're allowed to progress over a 3-month trial period. So I'm going to leave you there. So I've gone through quickly what I've done, my AR cache, and done a brief overview of different things you can do. So at the moment I know that some people are testing out the Google Vision capabilities, so they take a photo and then it actually sends that photo, what Google thinks is in that photo, onto a public wall, so anyone can test out the AI and AR capabilities that Metaverse has. So that's quite interesting, and interesting to see how people use that in other geocaches. If you've got any cool if you've seen any cool AR caches, let me know. If you're making one yourself, let me know what ideas you're using, and hopefully AR caches are here to stay. But I know a few people are saying, well, what's the difference between this and a Where I Go as well? This, or Metaverse especially, is quite user friendly. So yes, it's quite basic in some things you can do, but Where I Go, I know that they're not being really supported by Geocaching HQ recently, and AR caches is just something that could replace where I go. I think geocaching is that a lot more people have made AR caches in the last week than where I goes. So I'll leave you here and see you next time. See ya.